When you think of murderers, I think you can be forgiven to automatically assume that the perpetrator will be a psychopathic male. Hello, welcome back to the Adrian Project. I'm Adrian with a face for radio, and on today's episode I'm going to show you that hell really does hath no fury like a woman scorned, as I do plain talking reviews on the books Damsel of Death and Poison Blood. So, cue the music. In the annals of true crime, names such as Ed Gein and John Wayne Gacy pop up straight away when you're talking about serial killers and mass murderers. But there are also two women who should be at the top of that list too. One is Marie Hilley, and the other is the subject of the first book we're going to be talking about, the world's most notorious female serial killer, Aileen Wuornos. Nicknamed the Damsel of Death by the media, Aileen Wuornos was arrested in January 1991 and confessed to murdering 7 men. Her father beat her, her brother used her, and the other boys only wanted one thing. At 11, she prostituted herself for cigarettes and money. At 14, she became pregnant and was thrown into a detention centre. At 15, she shot herself in the stomach, and by 33, she had begun to kill. Her prey became the white male. Rejected, abused and alienated her whole life, she finally hit back, hard. In this gripping true story, British journalist Sue Russell slices through the horror of America's underbelly to find out what turned the quiet little girl from Michigan into a serial killer. Now, you may have only heard of Aileen Wuornos because of the Hollywood movie that was made based on her story. Released in 2004, Monster starred Charlize Theron as Aileen Wuornos and Christina Ricci as her girlfriend Selby. Now, Charlize Theron was absolutely brilliant in this film. The makeup department did an absolutely awesome job in making her look like Wuornos. Now, this film, I feel, tends to stick to more of a story about the two's relationship together. And although there are graphic depictions of the murders that she committed, I did feel myself that this film set out to make you feel sorry for Aileen Wuornos. So by the end of the film, I just felt they wanted you to sympathise for her, but you just couldn't. How can you sympathise with a person who just commits cold-blooded murder? I don't know, but that's my thought on the film. However, if you want the full unabridged version of events, I can highly recommend Damsel of Death by author Sue Russell. The amount of research that's gone into this book is truly astounding. I don't think they've left any stone unturned. They've used testimonies from family, friends, families, all the records that were in the public domain concerning the case, and we've also spoke to the families of victims, but a lot of them in this book under pseudonyms, which you could fully understand. And what Sue Russell tries to do is get into the head of Eileen Warnos to see what would make an ordinary woman go down the path of being a serial killer. Now, you can tell from the off that Eileen Warnos's early life wasn't great. She was beaten, she was abused, but is that really an excuse that you can use to say, oh, well, that's why I turned out? Because there have been a lot of people in the same position of her that don't become serial killers. So Sue Russell tries to unpick at the threads there to see what it was that finally pushed Eileen Warnos over the edge. Now, as I said in the little film review, I felt the film tried to make you sympathise with Eileen Warnos too much, to make you sort of at the end of the film thinking, well, she had it rough, and you know, she did what she did, she couldn't help it. And yeah, I didn't like that aspect of the film at all. Charlize Theron, brilliant, of course. I think she won an Oscar for it. But for me, the story sort of tried to, paper over the cracks a little. This book doesn't. This is, nuts and bolts of everything. It leaves you to make your own mind up as well, how you want to feel about Eileen Warnos. But, so like I said, this is the full unabridged version. Obviously, with the Hollywood movie, they can't get everything in. You've got to pick a pathway to go and stick with it, whereas the book can cover all bases. So, with that in mind, Damsel of Death by Sue Russell, I'm going to give this book 4 Evil Ednas. The next murderess on my list couldn't be classed as a serial killer, but that doesn't make her any less evil. She was Audrey Marie Hilley. Audrey Marie Hilley got away with murder. Then she almost got away with suicide. The pretty woman who appeared to be an ordinary homemaker, wife and mother, Marie Hilley, has been called one of the greatest con artists in recent American history. In Poison Blood, author Philip E. Ginsburg gives us the definitive account of this troubled and terrifying woman. Ginsburg travels to Alabama, to Florida, to New Hampshire to uncover the shocking pieces of Marie Hilley's life. She was a murderess who killed her husband, almost killed her daughter, and may have tried to kill several other relatives and neighbours. Marie's murder trial was big news all over the South. Her strange death made headlines throughout America. Poison Blood is the award-winning book written by Philip E. Ginsburg. It charts the life of Audrey Marie Hilley, who was infamous in America for poisoning her husband and mother-in-law and attempted poisonings of members of her family. Now, this is another book that I think is exceedingly well written. I have seen reports of it saying it's over-sensationalised. The research at best is threadbare. I don't agree with that. I think this book has been very well written. I think it must have been taken quite a while to research it as well, get all the facts and the figures right. As you're reading this, you think to yourself, firstly, how did she keep getting away with it for so long? Because, she does what she does, and then you think, oh, she's going to get caught, and then it always manages to get away. If this had been written as a piece of fiction, you'd have been thinking a bit far-fetched, that wouldn't have happened, but because it's a true crime, it's actually happened. Like I say, it leaves you scratching your head how she got away with what she was doing for so long. In hindsight, of course, it's always in hindsight. Yeah, all the evidence was there, what she was up to. People were suspicious of what she was up to, but the authorities were either helpless or just a bit lackluster in following up and investigating her. But she was devious as well. She could talk her way out of just about anything. As I say, this book, written by Philip E. Ginsburg, I think he's done a superb job. Also, this is a story that's had the Hollywood treatment. In 1991, there was a made-for-TV film released about Marie Hilley's life called Wife, Mother, Murderer. Now, because this wasn't a big Hollywood production in the same vein as what Monster was, it had to stick to the story as close as it could. I feel that this film doesn't over-sensationalise the story of what happened. I think it's very good. You do see its limitations because it is a made-for-TV film and the money isn't there, like I said, if it had been a major Hollywood film. But I think it's a great film and it's well worth a look. I can't recommend this book highly enough. It's easy for me to say, but this is, without a doubt, one of my most favourite books of all time, if not the favourite book of all time. I've read this 3 or 4 times. I say, start reading this, you won't be able to put it down. It is what we call a real page turner, and that it's all based on fact. It's a true story, makes it even more amazing. So, Poison Blood, Philip E. Ginsburg, if you can get hold of a copy, do it. You won't regret it, especially if you love true crime. And with that in mind, I'm going to give this book 5 Evil Ednas. Now, I've just received Revell's catalogue for this year, the new 2020 catalogue. And I was flicking through like I normally do, and I got to page 70 where they have the Kiss tour lorry still advertised and the AC/DC tour lorry kit as well advertised, which I will be doing a review of pretty soon in a future video, along with the Aces High, Iron Maiden, Spitfire, which I've already done a review from. And nestling down in the corner is a new release kit that made my little heart leap and bound. And it's that one just there. The kit number for this model will be 07654. The final design and release dates have yet to be confirmed. Now, I will be assuming that the lorry model itself will be the exact same kit as the AC/DC and Kiss tour trucks that they've had out previously, but with the brand new decals. Either way, I'm really looking forward to it. And as you can gather, that's going to be at the very top of my shopping list, ready for when it's released later in the year. Okay, so that's the end of yet another episode. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope that you can go out and get copies of the 2 books we've talked about, because I can highly recommend them. Okay, so if you enjoyed what you've just seen, please remember, if you've not done so already, to subscribe to my channel. It's all very much appreciated. And of course, don't forget, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter as well. So, without further ado, many thanks for watching again. And here's to seeing you all again for the next episode on the Adrian Battle Project.